Hello, hello, hello. Thank you all for coming. It is 6:07. All board members, please sign in. If you didn't, all visitors, there's a sign-in sheet over there. And we have public comments, 2 minutes per person or group. The public is invited to speak on the neighborhood concern and other matters affiliated with Bushwick. The board chair and the district manager, she's not here. I'm not too sure if she's on, yes, she is, she's on Zoom. She's not feeling well. I know a couple of board members aren't feeling well, so let's see if we have quorum. Hopefully we do. I hope they feel better. Celeste, you left me. I know, we've been here 9 years and you bailed out, but thank you. Be safe. She bailed out on me, but I'm gonna try, Celeste. If it
You
works
got
out,
this, Camacho. You got this.
But you sure? Okay, I got my ho hat on. So, public hearing item. Anyone in the public, please? You got 2 minutes. Yes, you could if you want to. We can have also the elected officials all together there. And comments and concerns, real quick, I'll give you 2 minutes. Or if you got announcement, that's even better too, because I can eliminate it when we get down to the bottom. So please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Lacey Tauber from the Brooklyn Borough President's Office. Have a couple announcements for you. This is your monthly reminder that community board applications are live on our website. So if you want to apply as a new member, we're very excited to have you. If you need to reapply, you should have gotten an email from us. We're also doing an interesting project with called Divine Dwellings. We have some flyers back there for you with Brooklyn Houses of Worship. I know there's a lot of folks in this room affiliated with various ones. You're invited to join a free year-long program on affordable housing development with our office. It's a cohort that features free technical assistance provided by an organization called Bricks and Mortals. And they empower faith-based organizations in the city to maximize their buildings and their property to serve their communities. So if that sounds interesting to you, go pick up a flyer. We're also having a community board application workshop on Saturday, January 10th at the Brooklyn Public Library. Got some flyers about that too. And then last thing is, this is my last meeting as your official CB4 rep from the BP's office. This is Maddie. Maddie's going to be taking over for me. I'm going to be back up, so hopefully you'll see me sometimes, but I wanted to introduce you all. If you want to say anything.
Just want to say hello, everybody. Excited to work with you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And we want to thank you for being I think you got perfect attendance in my board meeting. I don't know, man. I'm going to have to tell the borough president, because sometimes when I go to Borough Hall, to the borough boards, we don't have a lot of perfect attendance over there. So maybe we need to get people like you guys there. Anyone have any public comments? Any group? Please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Felix Ceballos, CB4 member. I had two concerns about my community. The still problem with the fire water pump is continual. A lot of cars just block that area, and that is very dangerous for our neighborhood, for the community. So I wanted to put attention, say that for everybody, put attention in that. And another concern is the rat continue attacks the community. So any organization had to be with that. We had to do the best we can, because they just with us like human being. Thank you.
In regards to the blocking of the fire hydrants, 311, then send the complaints to the office, and we'll have uh, the inspector here. He'll speak up on what we can also do, because I know they're no longer NCO officers, but there is a team now that is going out there. So maybe if we get their numbers, or the crew's numbers, and they could take a picture, they can go over, because I know when we had the last inspectors, they were blocking mine and my block. I would take a picture of the car, send it to the inspector. He would send a sector car, and they would get hit with a $120 fine. And I would call a tow truck that I know and tow his car. And they don't block my hydrants anymore. So in order to make sure, because God forbid, those houses, my row of houses are wood, 1900s. One, the whole place is gone. And guess who wins when our place is gone? Scoopers developers, because they take them out, they do high rises, and we can't afford to live here. So we got to make sure we take care of our neighborhood. So please, also in regards to the rats, there are academies. So if you have an organization, there are, you can call the office. There are organizations that do rat academies. Not only that, we got to let our neighbors know, because I had a neighbor that he was throwing his dog feces in the recycling can, and that's like peanut butter for the rats. And they smell it and they make a hole. And I'm serious. And you see in my camera them scrounging around. That's peanut butter. Instead of them putting it in a black bag or putting it inside a bag and closing it, they put it where the recycled cardboard is, because they leave it outside and they throw it on top. So guess what comes? Rodents and rats. So if you know a location, let us know. We can organize. Maybe you can get a TA organization, and then they can go do the Rat Academy classes. Anyone else?
All right, hey everyone. My name is Kamar Gale. I'm from New York City Department of Veteran Services. Any vets here? All right, all right. All right, so we have one vet. Just a quick message. If you guys know any vets, what you can do is take some lid on the back table there. And what we do is we help vets connect them to their VA claims, housing, education, grants, things of that nature. So you could take one of my business cards, it's in the back, and you could pass it along to a friend, family member, anyone of that sort. All right. Thank you so much.
Hi, Angani CB4. Just wanted to say thank you, Lacey. You've stuck by us for so many years. You've educated us and given us information, and you show up every month. So thank you.
Anyone else? Going once? Anyone on Zoom? That's good. Moving right along. Oh, sure.
Good evening, CB4. My name is Darwin Seeley, and this is maybe outside of the realm, but it ties in. It comes around full circle. So I have a yoga studio. The name of it is Soulwork Studio. We're celebrating our 1-year anniversary, and we're doing all of our classes until the 21st for $1 each. And that's just really for the community to come in, those who never had the opportunity to, come in, be centered. It helps with the ailments, with flexibility and such. So I'm here. You want to talk about it? You want to speak to me? I have stickers and information as well.
Address, location, name, numbers, when, how long?
Yes. 78 Saratoga Avenue, Soul Work Studio. And if you're on social media, our Instagram is Soul Work Studio, SOULWORK. The website is letsoulwork.com, and the LET is an acronym for Live, Embody, and Transform. Thank you.
Anyone else? Going once. Anyone else? Going twice. Anyone else? All right, public comment portion is closed. First roll call, please sign in. There's board members, there's copies of the agenda and the reports here. Please sign in so we can get the first roll call. The public, you can sign in. There's a sign-in sheet in the back. We keep attendance here. Oh, yeah. Thank you. That's perfect. How are you, man? How are you? Oh, good. Thank you. Good to see you. Happy holidays. Likewise. Happy holidays. Like me. Please sign in. Anyone that came in late, please sign in. Steve, and we have Okay, Adelina, community liaison, is going to do the first roll call.
Isa Abney,
Hello, listen up.
Stephanie Anderson, Teeny Balliard, Joanna Bennett, Robert Camacho,
Yeah.
Tevin Campbell, Felix Ceballo, Andrew Choi, Alvina Davis, Freddie Fowler, Joanna Fuentes Singh, Alan Gamboa, Jason Gers, Christopher Graham, Ann Guiney, Elaine Hamilton, Zachary Henderson, Courtney Henley, Deborah Hicks, Tanisha Hannigan,
Present.
Barbara Jackson,
And then Barbara.
Virgie Jones,
Present.
Luisa Jose, Luisa Jose, Giovanni Sustiniano, excuse me.
Present.
Present. Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Nancy Keith, Cindy LeBron, Christine Malden, Freddie Madison, Alex Moreno, Ramika Nichols Barnes, Zuma Novoa,
Present.
Cirilo Nunez, Shrey Richardson, Pablo Rivera, Raul Rubio,
Raul
Excuse.
is safe.
Elisel Ruiz, Josue Salazar, Milagro Sandoval, Juan Serra, Annette Spelling, excuse, B. Spiderman, sorry, James Stewart, Christian Tate, Savannah Tice, Ben Tucker, Jerry Valentine,
Present.
Linda Whitfield. Okay.
Did you sign it? You signed. We have 48 plus 1 is supposed to be 25. We short one. Reggie Jones, Avina Davis, Raul Rubio, and 6 remote waivers. That's 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay, so right now we're gonna count it.
I saw something. Where is he? He's present, he didn't sign it. You gotta sign in. Lisa, you gotta sign in. You got 22. You don't have a call. That'll be him. Huh? You have to vote. You can't vote. Mhm. Yeah, but you can't, we can't. All right, so I'm gonna. All right, we can't, we only got 23, we short 2. We're short 2, people. We can't, no exception of the previous, meeting minutes and not on the agenda. So we're gonna have the A3 Precinct Deputy Inspector, our new inspector, come on and give us a little briefing. I know he's only been here a couple of weeks. They're not gonna attack you, but we're gonna make sure you do the right thing. But this is our new inspector. He's gonna introduce himself. We want to thank him. I know we had a rough interview, so Inspector, go ahead, Deputy Inspector.
Good evening, everyone. As stated, I am the new commanding officer of the 83rd Precinct. Very happy to be here. My first meeting with
Your
you,
name is?
Deputy Inspector Maffey. my first meeting here, so I'm not really sure the agenda. I did speak with Camacho earlier, so I'm going to give like a crime review and then kind of open it up to questions. That's kind of so. Since the last time we've met, and you guys met last month, unfortunately, we did take some firearm violence over the weekend on Sunday at about 11:45 hours at 254 Wyckoff inside the parking lot of the Food Bazaar. We did have the unfortunate incident of a male shot. He is expected to recover from those injuries. That case is still open and pending, so I'm not really going to speak any much further on it. As far as overall in the command, upon my review, I'm seeing about 63% of the major crimes occurring in Sector Charlie and Sector David. Okay, our busy hours are the 3rd platoon, which is from 3 p.m. to about midnight with 38% of the crimes. I found a hot 4-hour time block from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. with 23% of the crimes. In the last month, we've responded at the 83rd precinct to 7,800 911 calls and about almost 2,000 311 calls. 311 calls are the non-emergency calls that you lodge for quality of life issues in events. The biggest thing I'm seeing is driving the command, not only for last week, last month, last 2 months, but also for the year, is grand larcenies. We're actually only up in one crime category for the whole entire year, and that's grand larcenies. What I'm seeing from that is I'm seeing it occurring at bars and clubs. I'm seeing it occurring from cars, and I'm seeing it occurring at packages, which I'm going to get into a little bit further. So a lot of bars and clubs, what I'm seeing is people leaving their property unattended, and then it's getting removed. Kind of difficult to police that because they're inside of a location. So we're going to come up with a plan, work with the businesses, try to help them out with that. As far as the autos, I'm seeing a lot of car breaks, usually during the overnight. Those are very difficult to address because if you don't have video footage of it and we can't trace the property, it's kind of hard to catch the person live doing it. And then package theft, right? So 'tis the season, right? A lot of people are ordering a lot of presents, gifts, packages, whatnot. And so with that comes people stealing those packages, right? So we do have a pattern out. We were able to identify one person that did it to us 7 times. So he's wanted. If I'm able to give out the wanted flyer to the community, I will, but we're actively looking for him. Hopefully when we get him, he stops doing it to us. That's kind of the goal with that. Some of the, another thing we're seeing is, if you want to call it a scam or a trick, but there's an individual that we've identified who is approaching people usually out and around these club areas overnight, late night, and asking to use their phone or to show them something on their own phone. So now the person is handing over their phone to a stranger, which is kind of one of the last things you want to do, right? Your phone is almost your keys. It's your wallet, right? So they're handing over their phone to this person, and then the person's just running away, right? So he's doing that to not only us, to other precincts. So we've identified him. We're actively looking for him as well. With the car brakes, like I mentioned before, also car parts, right? So catalytic converters. That's like a real big theft item. They'll crawl underneath your car. They'll cut the pipes with a Sawzall. It'll take about 2-3 minutes and they're gone. All right. Those are very difficult to address. Luckily, though, we did have some success with that. We got some video from the community, and I'm able to somewhat put together the pieces of what auto they're using to get to the neighborhood to commit these crimes. So we're working on that. But something, the community can do for stuff like that, car breaks or cat converter thefts. Some blocks organize and they have like a block committee or a block association. And then if a bunch of them have like ring cameras, they can document who has the cameras. And then if we have an incident on the block, we can kind of contact them and try to get video footage. So that's just kind of like an idea. Just to reference the question that the individual made before, he mentioned parking on a hydrant. So Q teams, quality of life officers. Every sector has officers assigned to them to address your quality of life issues. A quality of life issue is parking, noise, garbage, right? Anything that's non-emergency, non-life threatening is almost considered a quality of life. So aside from making a 311 complaint, which you should do, once you get to know and meet your Q officers, some people have that relationship where they will call or text them, in addition to that 311 complaint. And we found great success with that because you might only type in or verbally give some information to the 311 caller, but to the officer, you're going to give more details. You might text them a photograph. It's just a better way to get customer service out there to the community. So we will definitely put out all the Q team members' names and phone numbers. They also have emails too. With that, I have no more, and I will open it up to questions.
Anyone has any questions?
Good evening, Joanna Bannock, Community Board 4. Can you tell us anything about the drug bust that happened on Halsey Street and Wilson Avenue this month?
I'm not familiar with that.
You don't know?
No.
On Halsey Street and Wilson Avenue?
We can look into that, and we'll get back to you with that information we can give publicly. So.
I'm a bit, I'm sorry, it's Courtney Henley, Community Board 4. I'm a bit concerned about this illegal ICE situation of people coming and just taking people away without warrants. I want to know what you intend to do about that. I know there was one brave officer that did not allow that to go on. Is that your stance?
So my understanding when I was hired in 2006 is we don't work with ICE. We don't speak with ICE. I've never been given any instructions how to address or coordinate. So there's no communication between me and ICE. So.
Hi, Juan Serra, CB4. About the quality of life officers that you said, they're like divided by zones, or you have?
Yes. So the command is divided into different sectors. So each sector, Adam, Boyd, Charlie, David, has a certain amount of officers, approximately 3, that only work in those zones and only address the issues that you're currently struggling with that cannot be answered from a 911 call, because the 911 call officers are going to your job. They have 7 more to go to, and they have 5 more 311 complaints. So they can't spend the time needed to fix some of these longer, more problematic things that are occurring repeatedly over and over again.
And that is a list that you have that are going to publish or
Yep.
something?
So any of the community affairs officers can, if you know their contact, you can reach out to them. They'll give it to you, or you could call the command. Or we have a telephone switchboard that'll direct you up to the administrative officer. They have an email. They have a job cell phone. They're more than willing, able to communicate with you.
Good evening, everyone. Felix Cevallo again, CB4. I remember before, times ago, the 83% had checkpoint in some area of the community or the neighborhood. Is any possibilities maybe we can have that kind of service again? Thank you.
So you're mentioning a vehicle safety checkpoint?
Yes.
So we do still do those. We usually do them at highly traffic prone accident locations, or if we have a traffic accident or a pedestrian struck, we'll initiate a checkpoint at the location. We are still actively doing checkpoints in the command.
Right here.
Hello, thanks for coming. I'm Eutheme. I'm a resident at CB4. I have a question about the shooting on the food bazaar. There's 2 food bazaars within like 1 block of one another. Could you just repeat the address of that?
454 Wyckoff.
454 Wyckoff. Okay, and then has the shooter been like apprehended?
Has not been an arrest made yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, we got one here. Oh.
Hello, how are you this
Hi,
evening?
good,
Welcome. Stephanie Anderson, Chairperson of Arts and Culture and Technology Committee. We have a huge quality of life problem and lots of noise complaints and things of that sort. Do you have any intention on focusing on quality of life, such as nightlife and parties and bars, and how they affect our community?
Absolutely. So what I've been seeing is that's usually the #1 complaint is noise, followed by parking. So we conduct sound operations. You know, some of these locations are allowed to make sound. They're given permits and licenses, like a club, a bar, but to certain levels, right? When they go over that noise level, they can then get a summons. So we can do sound operations with DEP or the officers themselves. The hardest part with that is a lot of the complaints are made anonymously. In order for me to determine if it's unreasonable, I need to be where you are, where you're hearing it. Because where in your apartment, it might be super, super loud, but across the street or in front of it might not be loud due to soundproofing, the way they face the speakers. Different speakers can emit different volumes. So the best situation with that, if the 311 complaint or the communication with the Q officer, hey, I'm having a sound issue, it's chronic, it's always at this time. We then go with a sound meter, we make a reading. If they're in violation, enforcement is taken. Another option we have is mediation. Maybe the location doesn't know they're being so loud, and the simple fact of twisting a speaker or lowering it might help that one complainant. But again, it helps. It's very helpful when we know who has the issues so we can better serve them. When they're made anonymously, it's very difficult, or our options are very much limited at that point. No. So no, doesn't, I mean, I'm seeing the same areas mentioned, but if let's say it's like a one-off incident, like Friday night, it's someone's playing music super, super, super loud. It's the first time they've ever done it. You could still make the 311 complaint, set up the noise operation. We need to get the tools and the officers. So then we'd have to plan it. So are they doing it next Friday also? We'd have to try to schedule it, but it doesn't have to be a chronic problem to be addressed.
One more here, and then we're gonna then I have one from the district manager, she sent me.
I had one with that is kind of adjacent to that question. A lot of times if there's a noise complaint, if you don't get into the venue or the apartment, there's nothing they can do. Is there anything that you can do after that?
So,
because I've had police come and then they can't get into the venue, so then they just don't do anything.
Well, if they can't get inside wherever the location is, we could take the readings outside, but that might not be the problem. It might be where the person is, which might be down a corridor or a highway, or if there's a vacant shaft in the building or something. So we might take the reading and all right, they're good, but meanwhile the complainant still has an issue. So if the complainant can't let us in to where they're hearing the noise, again, it limits us in how we can address that and enforce that. Same thing with DEP. When they come, they're going to stay on the street. But if I can get them to the part of the apartment or the garage or whatnot to take the reading, then we can at least let the business or even house know, hey, you're over your limit. Let's figure out a way to mediate this if possible without having to go through enforcement. If we have to go through enforcement, you're only permitted to make a certain amount of noise, and you're in violation of that. So
we have when are you guys gonna update the precinct website? The info is old. So in regards to the map, maybe you can put it in a map with the location, Sector Adams, Sector Davis, Sector Boyd, and the Q team with their numbers and whoever that can. But you need to update that. The info is already old. We need some updated. Also with you on there because the last person was on there. Also, if you remain anonymous, it's okay. You can remain anonymous. But PD, when they walk into a location and they have their camera on and no one comes up, it's not founded. Then we get emails from constituents and people in the community stating that I went to the meeting, I complained about this and nothing was done. But if you're anonymous and we want to go back to you and tell you, then how are we supposed to let you know what was done and what wasn't done? We can't. So, you continue remaining anonymous, you have every right to. But when they try to address the problem and see what it is that's really going on and tell you, who they're going to call when you're not leaving information and we don't know who you are. So we need to get clear information. We're here for you. We want to make sure that you're protected. And everybody knows Maria Hernandez Park that was named after that park because she told the drug dealers to get out of her stoop and they came back and shot her. So, we want you to protect yourself, but we also want to make sure that everything is together. We thank you. Don't be a stranger. Hopefully we'll get the information and
Yep, I'll have that updated. Thank you.
thank you. All right, we're going back up because now we have quorum. I think it's 26 people. So we're going back up, exception of the agenda. Can I have a motion? Name? Name? We got to write it down. All in favor? Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carried. Exception of the previous meeting minutes. All in favor? Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carried. Parliamentary notes.
Oh, excuse me. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday. Whatever you celebrate, thank you for being here. I want you to be safe. That's the main thing, and enjoy the holidays. And I also want to thank the community. This has been a great organization to work with. Community Board 4. We show up, we do the work. Each month, I remind you about parliamentary procedures. Think of it as DEI. That's a word that's been a term that's been used in the news relatively soon. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's what parliamentary procedure is about. Diversity, that everybody has a voice, and it's important, and that's why we have the procedures. Again, I remind people to please identify yourself when you are speaking. Please address the chairman, Robert Camacho. Don't take issues personally, and we try to keep things moving here. And I want to thank God and bless Mr. Camacho and Celeste, who have kept us moving, and their staff who have worked for us wonderfully, and bless them all. And thank you so very, very much for making our jobs that much easier. I know you've had increased responsibilities and you rise to the occasion, and I salute you.
Thank you, Parliamentary. Introduction of elected officials and other reps, please. 1.2 seconds, please. If you're here, elected officials, if you have any announcement, do it real quick. We'll try to give you time to knock out what you have, so like that at the end, we don't have to. We want to have a potluck. Our food is getting cold.
Hi, I'm Fran from Councilmember Sandy Nurse's office, 718-642-8664.
You have anything for us, or any announcements? Nothing. Yes, you could do it real quick.
Wow, it's a Christmas miracle. I just want to thank everyone for all the hard work that CB4 has done along with District 37. We had 2 Christmas tree lightings in the district this year at Irving Square Park and Knickerbocker Plaza. So thank you for all of those who attended. I'm excited to see you guys in the new year.
Next.
Deborah Villanueva, Assemblywoman Maritza Davila, 718-443-1205. On behalf of the Assembly member in the office, we want to wish you all happy holidays and hope that you get to spend time with your families and celebrate the New Year's. The member will be going back to Albany on January to work on legislation and also pass the state budget. She will remain in contact with the executive board. And please, if you guys have any questions or need assistance with anything, we are here to help you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Maria Valdez from the Office of Senator Julia Salazar. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you, everyone, for your great commitment. Just 2 announcements. We continue to have tenant support unit at our office the first Tuesday of every month from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We have CUF doing Housing Connect applications. So it's going to be January 6th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So everyone is welcome. Thank you. 212 Evergreen Avenue. And our phone number is 718-573-1726. Thank you.
Elected officials, representative, please come sign in. And also, who made the motion? They couldn't hear on the section of the minutes of the agenda. Courtney, who seconded it? Felix Ibayo. Okay. And the previous meeting minutes? James and Christian. Thank you, Celeste. Anyone else? We got the public library here, right? Why didn't you say something to us? Yes, yes. Hi.
Hi, good evening. Happy holidays, everyone. My name is Louisa. I'm from the DeKalb Library, 790 Bushwick Ave. What's their phone number? 718-455-3898. Yeah, we have a lot of great programs going on. We have financial counseling on Thursdays. You can sign up and make an appointment, or you can just drop in generally. We're going to have an English class starting on Mondays in the new year. A lot of kids programs going on. Yeah, if you have any questions about library programs at my branch or others, just let me know. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Anyone on Zoom? Number 7, committee report, permits and license.
Good evening, everyone. Happy holidays. The Permits and Licenses Committee met last week on December 9th. We had a relatively short list of applicants. So beginning with the SLA applicants, first off was El Nuevo Caribe at 214 Central Avenue at Myrtle and DeKalb. This is a new wine, beer, cider license. They had some minor missing documentation. It's a new application with a temporary certificate of occupancy that was missing, I believe. But in any case, they did not show up to the meeting. So we ultimately voted not in favor for failure to appear, stipulating that they would have another opportunity to appear before the committee in January. I can go over these again later, but in context, seems good. Next up, we had a Monday Diner at 195 Wyckoff Avenue at Harmon. This is a new liquor license. In the previous location was Marie's. They are primarily a diner, so well within our stipulations. So we ultimately voted in favor of this application. Next up is Extra Sauce Bushwick at 1495 DeKalb between Knickerbocker and Irving. This is also a new liquor license. Burgers and sandwiches, again, well within our stipulations. We ultimately voted in favor of supporting this application. And then finally, for the last liquor licenses, it was Baby Sips at 425 Troutman between Wyckoff and St. Nicholas. Again, the last three all in that saturated area, but all of them are restaurants primarily, so we felt a little bit reassured by that. Baby Sips has a location in the Lower East Side. They serve Portuguese tapas and natural wine. They're in the location that was previously known as the Rookery. A few concerns were cited about this application because of the heavily saturated nature of the neighborhood. And just the 500-foot rule that there, basically that there were so many establishments within this neighborhood. We ultimately voted in favor of this application, stipulating they provide some missing documentation. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. We had 2 applications for adult use retail dispensaries. So the OCM cannabis licenses. The first one is 1027 6th Avenue, Inc., doing business as Buzzwick. So this is 1271 at 1271 Broadway between Green and Lexington. This is a new establishment. Their hours were relatively modest, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Some concerns were raised by the committee, primarily because there are some shelters nearby, some concerns about minors. They reassured the committee that they would have IDs tracked to enter the building, an ID scanner, and a security guard. But primarily, the main objection here was, the concern about being close to the transitional housing. So some suggestions were made to maybe limit the kind of advertising that was made or be able to reach out to the shelters nearby. And then on the other side, folks mentioned that this is in a corridor where there might not have been a lot of economic development. This represents economic development. Illegal consumption might be even more dangerous, and that they ultimately are contributing to the community. I think our primary concern was safety. It was essentially, to sum things up, it was not an issue with the business. It was more an issue with the location due to that proximity. Someone in the committee sort of likened it to, if you had a substance abuse center around the corner, is that a location where you might want to put this type of establishment? So we ultimately did not reach a consensus on that one or the following application. So I think, Mr. Camacho, we're required to do that tonight, right? Somebody will need to make a motion about these applications.
Yes, we
Okay.
will.
Okay, so folks from PLC, I mean, I think it can be anybody, but obviously the folks from permits and licenses are probably, they know that they're familiar with the applications, so.
Yeah, the board members will have time in regards to make a recommendation and then a vote, a full vote on it, or we can split them. Only is through the cannabis, we only give, like we said, we only give our input in it, and we want to make sure that we do that, because I remember one of the cannabis that came to this community board, and we flag that they're right across the street from EBC and right around the corner from 274. And as you know, they had called my office, and I had spoken to them, and they said that they were going to close them down because of the way the cannabis measured. The property line was from within the door to the place, supposed to be within the property line to the place. But that's right around the corner on DeKalb and Broadway. And the school is right across the street, and Kosciuszko is right there. So they were trying to close them down. I don't know if it was Governor Hochul's fault, but this guy wasted over $150,000, and he has a 15-year lease. And once they approve it, and he was working in good faith and doing his due diligence and giving back to this community, they were trying to close him down. But I think now he's one that might get a pass, but we're not too sure. Maybe this one will be the same. So we just want to let them know that this is there. So if something does occur and happens, we can say, we told you so. Okay? It's on Broadway, right around the corner from the women's shelter on Green, and across the street from Lexington, when there's another shelter, and there's also a youth center that just opened up 2 weeks ago. I went there and gave my ID card. I was there for 3 days and told them that if they want to come, they need to step up. The store next to there said that, they don't have a lot of traffic. Now they're going to have this kind of traffic. It's going to be horrendous when they walk into their stores. This is what they told me. I said, well, you can't tell me. You got to come here and tell us. Not tell me, because I don't want to repeat what you say. You need to come here. You own a store. You in that area. You come here and you tell this community what is it that you want and why is it that you don't want that there. That's what you got to do. I'm not going back and telling nobody anything. So that's what I did. I circled that block and gave everybody my card. So if they're not here, then y'all do what y'all got to do. We did our job. And our job was to inform them that there's a a shelter, women's shelter around the corner on Green, one on Lexington right across the street, and another community center that they open up for food early in the morning and distribute for hot plates and everything. And they also do social service aspect. Across the street is Best Eye. So you know, once you hit Broadway, you're across the street, you're in Best Eye. So everybody knows that, right? Outside is Bushwick, across the street is Best Eye. So that's less than 100 feet. It's like 2 feet, less than 2 feet. So if they approve it, it's on them, but we done our job and marked it, check the box. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, and then the other adult use retail dispensary was the Emerald Dispensary at 85 Saddam. So this is not the previous one was on Broadway.
Myrtle.
Courtney Henley, Community Board 4. Is this their second dispensary? Because there already is an Emerald Dispensary. Are they moving or?
No, this is the same one. It had a provisional license, which they're looking to formalize as a permanent license.
Okay.
But this is not the one that's located on Broadway. This is on Saddam.
Okay, thank you.
That's the one you're familiar with. Yeah. Okay. So moving along, the second one then is the Emerald Dispensary at 85 Saddam. As I mentioned, they have a temporary license, a provisional license they're looking to formalize into a permanent license. So they have been operating for 2 years. It came with a strong show of support from the community. They have very long hours. Just as a point of information, Cannabis establishments are required to operate for a minimum of 70 hours per week, and they cannot operate between 2 a.m. and 8 a.m. So this particular applicant operates between 9 a.m. and 2 a.m., so kind of maxing out, for the most part, the possible hours. So again, we were unable to reach a recommendation within the committee, so I think a motion will be made later on this evening, I think. And we'll vote on that tonight, right, as the full board. A couple of other minor things. We had some other old business where essentially the common theme here is that they were previous applicants that either owed us some documentation or something like that, and then ultimately did not provide it or did not follow up. Once we followed up with them, they never responded. We ultimately voted not in favor of all of these because after repeated attempts to reach them, we're sort of trying to get a little bit stricter about not continuing to reach out to folks. So the first one was Danger Danger. They are on Knickerbocker. I don't have the exact address here. They ultimately, I don't remember what they needed to come back with the committee to, but we were unable to reach them, and so ultimately voted not in favor. The second one was 101 Wilson, and they needed to send us some additional documentation, which apparently since they returned to, they came back to the district office and let us know that they were waiting on some documentation from their landlord. But we all remembered this applicant as having a significant number of complaints associated with them. We had voted not in favor of this applicant as well. Third case was Patricia Nunez Restaurant at 274 Knickerbocker. Same reason, we had made 2 additional attempts with no response from the applicant. And then finally, there was just I don't think we needed to vote on this one, but just as a point of information, there was Botanis Corp requested a waiver because due to an administrative problem, their application, it was non-controversial, but it was not accepted by the SLA. So in an example like that, they don't necessarily need to come back before the board. So I believe we were waiting to get some information from them as well, I think. Some of the folks from the district office may correct me on some of these points. Finally, the other issue that just came up is that we're going to try and get a little bit more strict within the committee. There's been a lot of pressure on the district office because applications are incomplete. People continue to submit applications There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of late submissions, which we often consider as a courtesy. So we're going to be trying to stick to the 1 week cutoff prior to the committee meeting to allow the committee to review the applications and basically say, you know, we can't guarantee that late submissions will be considered. And that is pretty much it, I think. Yes. Any questions? I can
Seeing none,
reiterate the.
thank you. Yes, I just wanna, let the committee know, thank you guys. You're doing a wonderful job, but we have to, make recommendations. And also, our, our, our district manager and our staff shouldn't constantly be calling these establishments to get stuff. It's their business. They pay an attorney. They supposed to bring the stuff to us, and then we review it. But if our staff got to keep calling them, we need it, we need it, we need it, and then we say no to them, then they come back and say, oh, well, they didn't tell us, and then there's a big back and forth. We're not putting them on an agenda if they don't got all their documents. We're not sitting them down and wasting our time because we go through all this work. They missed, they short this, they short that, they don't want to come, and then they look at us like, and then their lawyer wants to get, we don't speak to lawyers. That's there. We make sure that we take care of the individual that's there because he lives there, he works there, and he's working in this community. We're not going to call his lawyer when he turns around and does something. We call the precinct and go after him when he does something wrong. So we're not going to keep doing this. And every time we go, they keep more stuff and more stuff. So then they got to change the paperwork. Then they got to get this. Then they don't have a TP drawing from the basement of where they have their liquor. Then they don't have the liquor. Then this guy. So we really need to address this because they keep coming back and forth. Then they come back again, and they're still not ready. And then they got to call them, and then they attack them. And then they call the union, and the union call us because they're doing, it's like, I'm not doing this. If they're not ready and the package is not done, we're not taking them. Move it along.
Yeah.
Don't answer them, don't pick them, and keep going.
That before we get into discussing potential recommendations on, I guess, in particular, the cannabis establishments, I'm just wondering if someone else from the committee could explain, like, there are, I think, 5 abstentions on that. And not to call anyone out, I know many of the folks who abstained regularly abstain on cannabis licenses in the full board meeting. But I'm curious if anyone else could speak as to like what your rationale is specifically for abstaining like within committee. Yeah, just so I have a better understanding. Oh, well,
yeah.
we have to make recommendations, so I'm just trying to understand before we get into a larger discussion.
Wait.
You're asking that people explain their individual votes. If you want to know that and why they voted a certain way, why they abstained, or then you need to come to the committee meetings. That's not for the full board meeting.
No, and abstain is just a no vote. It doesn't count. I know, but we can't tell somebody to tell us because now you're excluding them from telling them the reason why. But if they have every power to do the way they voted, I can't ask anybody else, why did you vote for this guy? When, can you explain that to me? They're not gonna, this is, I want to vote the way I want to vote. So. Yeah. Just to understand.
Sure, totally. But just before we got into broad group discussion, I wanted to maybe understand people's opinions on this. I'll just put my cards on the table. Zachary Hendrickson, CB4 board member. My recommendation would be that we move to approve these licenses with the stipulations around public safety. I think, as Chairman Camacho has said, like when we don't make any think like a youth center is not the same as a school for, neither is that the case for shelters. I don't believe that's not a school or a place of worship. So it is slightly different. And furthermore, for my own personal standing, I just don't think that we should be like policing what people have access to. Essentially, if somebody wants to go and have access to any of these types of legal substances, we know there are other places in Bushwick they can go to get them. Preventing a business from opening on Broadway, which we talk all the time about wanting more businesses to open on Broadway, doesn't make sense to me when there's nothing they're actually doing to break the law or what the stipulations in place. So that would be my recommendation.
All right, thank you. Thank you. There's no recommendation. There's nothing. There's no motion. There's nothing. There's no motion. There's no recommendation. We'll talk. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. That's the end of the discussion. Thank you. We're moving right along. Economic development.
Did we have any? And
No.
no, yeah.
You spoke already. Is anybody else that didn't speak have to speak? No. Okay, you can.
The Reverend, did you want to say?
Courtney Henley, Community Board 4. I have a quick question. Do I need to exclude myself because I have once met one of the owners of the Emerald Dispensary?
No, you have no. You can.
Huh?
You
Where are they?
okay? Anyone?
Oh.
Anyone has anything on this side? No.
We all met them.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Right. One last point I just wanted to say about what Mr. Camacho was saying about the late application materials as well. You all see me fumbling through my notes. It's because we get lots of late updates, and so we're all of the committee members are volunteers. We try to do our due diligence. We look up the locations. We look up the complaints. We really try to give them, a fair kind of consideration, and it's really difficult to do when all the applications materials come in very late. And just so you know, oftentimes these are the same lawyers, they know the drill, and so it's all the more sort of egregious that they don't come prepared. So all of that said, let me see if there's anything else. Nothing
think
else.
we want-
And
we-
just to answer your question, Zachary, I obviously can't speak on behalf of the folks who abstained, but I think it's in a similar way from
Hello.
what we often see is it's in principle kind of.
Thank-
Yeah. And by the way, one of the things for cannabis licenses that we are able to advise on time, place, and manner. That's kind of the buzzwords of the OCM. So the hours, the physical location, and whether it's considered to be in the community's interest, and the way that they're operating, the way that they're conducting business. So these tend to be the things that we are able to comment on.
Thank you. Thank you. I just have. Yes, I just have my own perspective on Broadway since '74 and trying to organize. As you see, Myrtle Avenue. Any of y'all have went to Myrtle and Broadway? Have you seen that area there? Mm-mm. So let's put one over there. I want you to tell me, because there was one illegal there and PD closed it down because there was a lot of issues next to there and one of those things. We're not saying don't, but we don't think that that's the right place to put it. We're not saying we're not. So we're doing our job and making sure that those people that live on that Broadway, Green, Gates, Goodwin, where the seniors know that we said no to this because ABC, because of them. And then if you say yeah, come back and tell them, why did you do that when something happens? We want to make sure. Someone has the question, Ivani? Ivani?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Gio Justiniano, CB4. My apologies for not being able to make it this evening. I'm recovering from a procedure. But I'm a person who abstained from my vote. I sit on the Permits and Licenses Committee, and I just want to take a brief moment to explain my abstention. The reason I abstained is because on paper, both of these applications that we are reviewing are, they're pretty similar, right? The one that we're having this controversial issue with because of their proximity to these transitional places, their hours actually are more favorable, compared to the other location that's applying for a permanent license over their provisional one. But the reason I abstain from my vote is because I do, to piggyback off of Camacho's concerns, I think that that area is an area that, people, not me. I don't have a leg in this game. I don't smoke marijuana. I personally don't care. But I think that people in that area might care about a business like that being so close, especially in the way that they're operating, like, especially the way businesses are how they're operating recently and how they're promoting things to people around them, how sketchy the area gets after a certain time. And not only that, I am personally, I kind of akened it to, do we want to put a liquor store next to a place that operates an Alcoholic Anonymous? Those are things that I personally I feel conflicted about. However, I believe that the area does need and merit economic development. I also believe that if these people want, we shouldn't be policing what people want. If they want, to smoke cannabis, then they should have legal places where they can access it and places that are reasonably close. Otherwise, they are going to to getting it from places that they shouldn't. So because I have those two perspectives, that's why I abstained. I didn't want to say no because I didn't think it was fair to the business. But I didn't want to say yes because I also didn't think it was my place to say yes, given that I think there would be concern from people who live in the area.
Thank
That's
you.
all.
Thank you. Very well said. Thank you. And I appreciate it. Thank you. Moving right along, environmental protection, transportation, sanitation, and parks and rec. Ben Tucker, Chair.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Ben Tucker, Chairperson of Committee on Environmental Protection, Transportation, Sanitation, Parks, and Recreation. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy fourth night of Hanukkah. I'm going to go over this. We had a really, really packed meeting. There was a lot going on, so I don't want to take up too much time tonight because we have the potluck. The meeting was on Monday, the 24th of November. We had 3 agenda items. First agenda item was a recommendation. So we're going to bring that before recommendations. It's pretty minor, but 49 Wyckoff Avenue. If anyone knows, that's a building that has a bunch of businesses. I think on the ground level is the gym, Absolute Power Fitness. They have like a stairway, like a sidewalk grate that has fencing. Apparently it's too tall. It's 4 foot 8 inches and regulation is 4 feet. So they had to reconstruct it to make it exactly 4 feet. And they also needed our recommendation for it. So Zev Heisler came to give a presentation about it, and they promised that it would take only 6 weeks, and they would try to be minimally invasive to the sidewalk. The committee recommended that we give them the recommendation it's to the Department of Transportation for what was it called? I don't remember what it was called. A revocable consent petition. So we recommended the revocable consent petition. Second item was, I'll skip to the third agenda item because the second agenda item was actually pretty lengthy. The third agenda item was we had the Department of Sanitation. So they were there because there have been a bunch of constituents in the community who have been suggesting that the Department of Sanitation look into loosening the alternate side parking rules to allow for less frequent alternate side street cleaning and less frequent car moving for the car owners of the community. They came to us, Department of Sanitation came to us. They told us it was incredibly difficult to get something like that going in the Department of Sanitation, even were the committee to feel strongly about this. So sanitation said it's highly unlikely that people in the community can get the movement going to make something like this happen, to decrease alternate side parking. And while we were discussing it with the representative Marissa from the Department of Sanitation, it was clear that nobody in the room actually felt that we should be decreasing alternate side parking to begin with, alternate side street cleaning to begin with. If anything, we need more street cleaning. We you know, that trash has got to go somewhere. And anyone here who is a homeowner knows that if that trash goes onto your curb, you're responsible for sweeping it. And if you're a business owner, you're responsible for sweeping it. And so none of us want trash on the streets. And so I'm not, you know, we all were feeling strongly about that. But I also took the opportunity to ask the representative from sanitation to stay and answer questions from the committee about sanitation. And we learned something very interesting, which is that the sanitation department used to publish these scorecards for these like report cards for every neighborhood. It's not a format they do anymore. So it's become a little harder to tell how Bushwick is doing, like relative to other communities. What's our grade? I know it's a little oversimplified, but like what's our grade? And so we were told that we've actually been improving, not to the point where we could just stop doing street cleaning and let people keep their cars parked there, but we are very much improving. We're no longer, you know, at the bottom end of the pack. We are not at the top of the pack, but according to the Department of Sanitation, there's been some progress there. And we didn't offer a recommendation to them to decrease the alternate side and the street cleaning. So that was that. The third presentation was the lengthiest. It was from the Parks Department. The Parks Department gave us a full overview of all of the ongoing projects, all of the projects in the future, all the projects that have been done now, and sort of like a general cost estimate for capital projects. And I don't want to go into extreme details, but in the committee report, which I have here, it breaks down the what has been done recently in our parks. There have been 3 or 4 or 5 capital investment commitments. And then just really quick, and I think I say this every meeting, the Parks Department, when we talk about the Parks Department not having money, it's not just like other departments of our government, of the city agencies not having money. It's actually much worse than all the agencies not having money, believe it or not. So it's all the agencies need more money, but realistically speaking, budget-wise, if you took up all the acreage of land that is covered by New York City Parks Department, it represents 14% of the landmass of our city. And we get barely 1% of our city's budget dedicated to parks. And most of the money that goes to parks doesn't actually go to the parks. It goes to the city parks operations. It doesn't go to the people who are using the parks, who need new comfort stations and restrooms and new basketball hoops in their parks. It just trickles down. Barely any of it trickles down. So with that said, when Parks Department says, here's 5 projects we want to do in the parks, it'll cost us $5 million to do this, all of that money has to come from elected officials. There is no capital budget for the Parks Department, whereas the city is putting in money to build stuff, not in parks. That has to come as a special request from our elected officials. So anything that's been done in parks recently, you can thank your elected officials for that, which is what I saved for last, which are the updates. Unfortunately, 2 of them are not good. Irving Square Park. Everyone knows there is a reconstruction on the dog run and the playground that was expected to start. It was supposed to start this year. That's been delayed. It's going to start in the fall of 2026. Maria Hernandez Dog Run. Same thing. That is going to be renovated, I believe, because of funding from Councilmember Gutierrez. That was delayed because of permitting. The Department of Environmental Protection would like to, while they're doing the construction of the dog run, they're taking out the rocks and they're putting in turf. In the intermittent time in between building that, the Department of Environmental Protection wants to go underneath all of it and replace a bunch of pipes there so that once the turf is installed, we can help protect Bushwick's residents from flooding a little bit better, because we're not really equipped to handle that. And if you've been following the committee's meetings, we also got funding for that, thanks to Councilmember Nurse, to improve that. But that is not a situation that's going to improve very quickly anytime soon. So we need all the help we can get. So that being said, don't complain too much about Irving Square Park or Maria Hernandez Park Dog Run being delayed, because Parks is working very hard on making this happen, but especially the Maria Hernandez Park Dog Run, because it's not going to flood anymore after it's done. And if anyone goes to that dog run after it rains, it floods a lot. So it's a delay, but it'll be done right, and that's what's important. The last thing is, Irving Square Park got a Portland loo, which is a public bathroom. The Parks Department wanted to know well, we engaged them about it, but they wanted to know our feedback about it, and we wanted to know their feedback about it because this is a pilot program. One Portland Loo went to each borough. It's really expensive to build a public restroom in New York, and we need a lot more of them than we have. And so this company started making these semi-permanent bathrooms that sort of look like a porta potty, but they're rigid steel and they're just offer a little bit more privacy, and they cost significantly less. But they put one in each borough to test it out. And Brooklyn's borough pilot program, the test one, is in Irving Square Park and seems to be doing well. And we looked up the 311 complaints and there were hardly any. And there were most of the complaints about Irving Square Park were not related to the loo. So we were able to tell the parks, given that, and given that we haven't really seen too many complaints from the board, if this is a cost-effective way to build bathrooms, like, please put them in more of our bathrooms, in more of our parks here. We need to see more restrooms in parks. We need to see more investments. And so that was a good takeaway from that. And then the other thing I would add about parks is folks in the community feel very strongly about how they want their parks to look. And I would welcome everyone to get the opportunity to participate in the committee in 2026. But that being said, I think everyone who feels very strongly about it should temper their expectations given how little money is going into parks. Even in the committee itself, it was a little bit of a hot button issue, even Parks Department talking about how much certain things would cost in the park. None of those projects are actually happening, but just reading the room from how people felt about what Parks was saying could be done with certain amounts of money, I'm gonna offer you all my holiday spirit. Let's be kind and cool to each other in the new year when we discuss these matters. Last thing, we had two other old business recommendations. Oh, let me do committee mail review. I'm so sorry. That's right. Check in the report. There's a bunch of good recommendations from committee mail review, mostly interesting reports from the IBO. Thank you, Ann. Old business. We had the last committee meeting, we had made a recommendation. We brought it here. The discussion showed us that the board was not quite ready to vote on that and that we had felt divided about it. So our response was we sent out a poll to the board members, and I want to thank my fellow board members for overwhelmingly replying to this. We had a very large amount of participation. Well over half of the board was participating. I did not weigh in as the committee chair, so that would technically count as more than half. But having seen the comments from our fellow board members about our recommendation, we took it back up again, and we have refined it a small amount, and I'm going to read it. I'm gonna explain it very quickly what it was last time because I already did this last month. Essentially, the New York City Police Department changed their policy regarding e-bikes and cyclists in moving violations. Whereas before, if you ran a red light on an e-bike or a bicycle, you would get a traffic court ticket. Now it is a criminal summons, meaning you are required to go to a criminal court to appear before a judge and be sentenced guilty or not guilty based on your crime of running a red light on a bicycle. There have been other community boards around the city that have taken stake on this. It is a divisive issue. It is an issue that many New Yorkers care strongly about. And our committee has discussed this over the course of a couple of months. It was an agenda item, and then we made the recommendation. It was here. So essentially what the committee discussed is this is a measure that the New York City Police Department is doing to address concerns that people have about reckless cycling, but they are not taking the same measure to address the concerns about reckless drivers. Meaning a driver who runs a red light does not get a criminal court summons. He gets a traffic court summons. A cyclist on a regular bicycle who runs a red light now could be sent to criminal court in order to appear before a judge for the same offense. And when you look at the statistics, it's far more dangerous to have cars running red lights and getting these offenses, which is why there's been so much uptick over the past few years of red light cameras and different enforcement mechanisms, because it's very, very difficult to enforce reckless driving or reckless cycling or any sort of reckless behavior. It's very hard to enforce this sort of behavior. So this was a policy shift by the NYPD, by the New York City Police Department deliberately, and we have been addressing it. Now I'm going to read the recommendation from the committee. The committee, we revisited the, oh, sorry, this is not the summary. Okay, recommendations. We reaffirm the committee's previous recommendation regarding NYPD criminal summons policy for bicycles and e-bikes, including the following. Opposing the issuance, the committee recommends that we oppose the issuance of criminal summonses to both bicycle and e-bike riders for traffic violations, and instead for the use of a regular traffic summons, a traffic court summons, not a criminal summons. The difference is that we added e-bikes back in. Originally, we had made it just bikes and not e-bikes because of the discussion that was taking place on the committee level. And after sending out the poll to our fellow board members, we felt that there was enough feedback positively from the board members that e-bikes should actually be included in this, and e-bikes also should not be receiving criminal court summonses for their offenses. So that's the key difference in our recommendation. So again, opposing the issuance of criminal summonses to both bicycle and e-bike riders for traffic violations, and advocate instead for the use of traffic summonses. Call for the New York City Police Department to provide a data-driven justification for the need to issue criminal summonses, which they had said was necessary, a necessary policy shift. We'd like them to show us why. Treat bike and e-bike riders' violations at least as fairly as motorists by issuing the same degree of penalty equally. Hold delivery companies accountable for the behavior of their contractors, which I think this was almost unanimous and we felt the most strongly about. And then the last is support investments in safer infrastructure for pedestrians, cyclists, and automobile drivers. I'll take any questions. That's all, and I'll take any questions from the board first.
All right.
Christian Celeste Tate, first vice chair. Just a point of information. So the changes that the committee made to the recommendation made it such that now this recommendation reflects the majority opinion of the board according to the feedback that we as the committee received from a majority of respondents from the board. Is that correct?
Thanks for clarifying that, Christian. Yeah, I do want to say that this, echoing what our parliamentarian said earlier, this has to reflect the opinions of the full board. And when we first brought it, there were folks who felt that their opinion wasn't fully represented. And so having sent out that poll, we got a really, really strong amount of feedback, and we felt that there were more voices represented who had the opportunity now to speak, and it was an anonymous poll to share what they had to say.
I would like to make a point of order, parliamentary, in regards to the questionnaire 1 and the survey 2. The policy and the change that they want has no community input. None. None. The board voted, first they said, the committee voted that they were going to exclude e-bikes. A lot of people said, as you know, 2 weeks ago, someone else died, right? A 76-year-old. I sent a newspaper clipping. Someone else died by e-bike going the wrong way and killed this old man. If that was your mother or your father, how would you feel? The guy went home and this guy's in a box. So you need, all of y'all need to wake up. 1, 2, community input, none whatsoever. That's what this board does. Quality of life issue. If there are organizations like Make the Road, Churches United for Fair Housing, that fight elected officials to go and echo for legislation and change. We don't. We do quality of life issues in our community. And we fight with city agencies to make sure. So if y'all want to get involved in getting that, and recommending, because a couple of board members went to Manhattan because that's what Manhattan wants, then you go vote the way you are. And I know there's another recommendation on the floor. And I also want a roll call vote on this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Camacho.
Yeah, Juan Sara, CB4. It's very surprising that the chair speaks so vehemently against that. I would like to remind everyone that more than 99% of the deaths that has the city are in hands of cars, and cars are not receiving the same criminal summons. Are also overwhelmingly all the accidents, like more than 200 people die in the streets of New York each year, and tens of thousands on crashes on hands of cars and trucks, and they don't receive any criminal summons. If any camera grabs any car, they don't receive this kind of the point because of the law. They have to be some present, so the camera doesn't work. And the only thing we're doing here with this recommendation is putting the bikes at the same level as the cars. That's all. We are not excluding anyone. Like if they're going the sidewalk, if they're going to go a red light, if they hit someone, they all have traffic violations just like a car. So that's the only thing that we are doing here in the recommendation.
Thank you, Juan. I want to thank you for clarifying that because I forgot to address that after Mr. Camacho's question. I do want to clarify, anyone who strikes a pedestrian on any vehicle is deserving of a criminal summons because they have just committed a crime. That we're not saying that if someone hits someone, a hit and run, these are all, that is criminal behavior. What the committee is saying, and what had been addressed and brought out to the rest of the board and discussed at length over the course of these past few meetings, what the committee is saying is not that we want to see people be able to get away with crimes that they commit on their bike, is that running a red light does not make a person a criminal. And if it does, then why are cars not criminals when they run red lights and injure hundreds of New Yorkers and kill hundreds of New Yorkers a year?
CB4 member Ramika Nichols. So I guess my question is, because I did vote towards implementing e-bikes to be on the same level as cars. However, it's the bail bond issue, right? So if a e-bike hits somebody and a person die, they out the next day on bail bond. So that's another issue of, not being held accountable for their crime.
That's a good question, Ramika, and I appreciate that. On that issue, that's not necessarily something we can weigh in because that's an NYPD policy that's not related to transportation, sanitation, or environmental protection. But I absolutely hear you, and I want to say our what we are acknowledging in the original recommendation and now is we recognize there are a lot of reckless cyclists and e-bike drivers and car drivers out there. There's a lot of reckless everybody out there, and that this was a policy shift that was meant to address the concerns of reckless cycling, but that it has created an unfair playing field such that people can do much more violent crimes now and get away with it. And some people are being put in criminal court and being deemed criminal for running a red light. And in our country, when someone is deemed a criminal, it doesn't mean the same thing as it did 3 years ago.
Rodney Trujillo. I think if the e-bikes had insurance, it would probably be a better thing. Where cars, you have to have insurance. You get points on your license, and it costs a lot of money. So that's probably the reason why they're getting a more stringent ticket.
That's a very valid concern. There's a council member, Robert Holden, who proposed legislation, I believe it was Intro 606, and it would have required all e-bikes to have registration similar to car, some sort of insurance license registration. They did bring a presentation to the committee at some point in the past year. I don't know what became of that bill, but we had a very good discussion with them about it and about, what those concerns were. And then the other thing I will say is, if you are riding a bike and you're pulled over for running a red light, they do, in issuing the ticket, you have to provide identification. So it's not the same as an insurance situation, but it is not necessarily the same as like an unlicensed driver with no identification.
lot more.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your name?
There would be a Margaret Nolden, and I live in the neighborhood, and I'm a pedestrian, and there would be a lot more pedestrians getting hurt by e-bikes, but we have more experience crossing the streets. And that's the only reason that there are not more accidents.
Thank you for that, Margaret. I completely agree with you. I have been a pedestrian in New York City my whole life, and I have found it has never been more dangerous to cross the street than it is right now. So much so that when the light turns green for me to cross, the walk sign goes, exactly as you said, I don't assume that I could even walk anymore. And that is both bikes, and I will say, I know some folks might not agree with me on this, but there are a lot of cars that don't follow red lights anymore. And that's why there's been a lot of uptick in advocacy for people to install more red light cameras. If you go for a walk on Broadway and the light turns red, probably 2-3 cars run through that red light before it's safe for you to cross the street every time.
I disagree on that. I mean, I see a lot. I'm sorry, it's Courtney Henley, Community Board 4. I see a lot more reckless e-bike riders. I mean, I've almost been hit a bunch of times. They're riding the wrong direction, everything else. I think we do need to push for them to be licensed and have insurance, because if they hit you, their ID means nothing. And I don't agree with the criminalization, though, because I do feel like this is a way to target the Uber drivers and all of the migrants that they're going after, because you're going to have ICE at the criminal court, or they're going to get a criminal, summons, and then they're dealing with their immigration. But we do need to do something. This bill needs to be passed, and we do need to have licensing and insurance, and we do need that to happen before we do agree to not have the criminal summonses.
Okay, thank you for that, Courtney. And I understand that. So you feel that this is maybe the only recourse left is to issue criminal summonses. And then I want to just address the thing about the insurance that I failed to mention earlier. Our recommendation is for delivery companies to have their drivers held accountable. And that, I think, is really the core of the issue here. And I think it's something that nearly nobody disagreed on at any point in the entire course of this discussion, which tells you how strongly we all feel about this, which is that the DoorDashes, the Ubers, and the Lyfts of the world, they don't care. They don't care if their drivers are getting criminal summonses. They don't care if they're running red lights. They don't care if they're hitting nice people who are trying to cross the street. They just don't care. They just care about money. Make more money, put more drivers and cyclists and everyone on the streets, because the city of New York does not charge them to use their roads, to put more drivers on their road. So they can just add and grow infinitely and make more money infinitely, while the rest of us who want to just like go for a walk and not get hit by an e-bike or an Uber driver or a Lyft driver or a city bike, which is owned by Lyft, or all these number of things that all these car share companies are making money on. And
we get it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Paul. It is addressed, and we do think that if the companies took their liability for the behavior of their drivers, you'd see a lot better behaved drivers.
Listen, this is one of those, Pablo Rivera, community board member, this is one of those things that's funny, but it's not funny, right? First of all, I sorry that I didn't get a community member his name. Thank you. I just
Pablo, I need to cut you off one second.
Said that was
Pablo, you got to address me.
Oh,
you must.
So no, because he said something very important. He said that 99% is cars. I would like to read. Maybe he could let us know he read that, so I could read it up on it. Okay. That 99%, right? The other thing is this. A lot of the bikes are hitting people and they're not getting reported because the injuries are not the same as a car. I can sit, I live on 439 Wilson. I could sit right there on the corner of Madison and Wilson. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it on a day that's good. And I'm going to count how many bikes run a red light there. And I'm going to count how many cars run red lights. I guarantee you that there's more bikes running red lights. The e-bikes, they get away with it. The reason that those summonses were like that, right, was because they don't have a license plate. They could go against the traffic, get away. Now you don't know who hit you. You don't know who was it, the red light. The police is not going to go after you in against the traffic because they're not going to put other people in danger unnecessarily. It's just silly to compare both.
Hi, John Stanesco. I'm a resident. Just a quick clarification question. In terms of what behavior is enforced, is there any difference between a cyclist or e-bike going straight through a red light at full speed versus stopping, looking both ways, and then continuing forward, or starting to proceed through the intersection when the walk signal has turned, but the traffic light has not?
Thank you for that, John. Thank you, John. That's more of an NYPD policy question. I can only speak to what the purpose of our recommendation was. However, I think you're referring to the Idaho stop, which is when you stop, treat a red light as a stop sign, for instance. And I will say, just to address Pablo's comment, the Idaho stop, I don't know the legality of it, but there's been a lot of proposed legislation to not make it illegal. I think if you discounted the Idaho stoppers, it would not be as many. And I understand your observation that you're saying is that you're firsthand observing more cyclists than cars, but there is publicly available statistics. I can't speak about what the NYPD's policy is unless that's publicly available, but the statistics are public, that there are very, very many. Crashmapper.com. It just pulls it straight from the NYPD. NYC Open Data has this data. These are reported crimes, and if people are next question.
Hi, my name is Jason Gers, CB4 board member and member of the Transportation Committee. I would encourage you to vote for our recommendation here. I understand that we should be concerned with all matters of safety and vehicular violence, as well as people getting hit by e-bikes and things of that nature. And our resolution does acknowledge and address that. Personally, my aunt was killed by a hit and run driver who was never caught and never found responsible. She's Brooklyn. She was a Brooklyn native. I live a block from Myrtle Wyckoff intersection. There's 3 people killed at this intersection. There's a mural for them, and like afraid to let my child walk independently around the neighborhood because this is a very dangerous intersection. So I don't think we want to just ignore all of that, but getting hit by a car is not the same as getting hit by a bicycle, either statistically or in their weight and their power. The implication of this criminal summons is that you have to take a day off work, even if you want to plead guilty. If you run a red light in a car, you just pay the fine, and it does not, impact your ability to hold down your job. And yes, for immigrants, this means, putting them in the system and vulnerable to ICE as people are being separated from their families, at courthouses. The delivery companies, I believe, are the ones who should be held responsible here. If the FedEx truck hits you, you sue FedEx. If a DoorDash driver hits you, they blame it on the person making the delivery, and DoorDash takes no responsibility. That's the problem here, and that's what we think would be the solution. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm Ephim. I'm a resident of CB4. I had a quick question about the recommendation at hand. We've talked a lot about equity, cars equal to bikes and e-bikes. Can we recommend that the NYPD start issuing criminal summonses to cars running red lights in the name of equity?
Thank you, Ifan. It is included in the recommendation. It is worded so that it is said, here, I would actually like to read, treat bike and e-bike riders' violations at least as fairly as motorists by issuing the same degree of penalty equally. And I would leave it to my fellow board members, but I think there is room for us to maybe all agree on that and more of this recommendation.
Hi, Savannah Tace, CB4. I'm really interested in the second part of the recommendation. I very much agree with you that we need to hold these companies accountable. I'm curious what the committee's thoughts are there, like in terms of specific policy they would advocate for, because there's a lot of ways to go about that. Also, I'm not on the committee, but I do a lot of like I'm a computer science professor and I do a lot of like tech policy stuff, so would be interested in talking about that. And then also question if this is still a really hot button topic, the criminal versus non-criminal, some instance not, would you consider like making a recommendation just that we should try to do policy to hold the companies accountable?
Thank you, Savannah, for that. That is what I was alluding to in my answer to Yefim, which is that I think if we can find common ground on that, which I think almost all of us agree on, the delivery drivers accountability issue, that there should be investments in streets that are designed safely for shared use, and that cars violations should be held equally to e-bikers violations. There could be common ground for all of that. I will give you an extremely cynical and short answer to your question about the Lyft thing, which is that who has the exclusive deal with City Bike to do City Bike? It's Lyft. Who look at campaign donations? Who's donating to our local elections and putting millions of dollars in our local elections? And then you wonder why our politicians are not really doing anything. We just make this the NYPD's problem. The NYPD is just issuing criminal summonses, barely making a dent in the issue. Nobody feels safer. I'll leave it at that.
We have one more here, and that's it, and one on Zoom.
Stephanie Anderson, CB4. I definitely understand what you mean about bikes shouldn't be treated differently from cars, definitely. But it's really hard for the community to think about that and not think about the fact that when they stand on their sidewalk, they must be alert, and about a car can't do about a bike can't do as much damage as a car can do. Those electric bikes can crush a spine of a child or even an adult. So, I mean, would you think about making up a petition for the community to see what they think about everything as an umbrella rather than just, just what the biker wants to accomplish?
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie, for that. I think that's a great point, and I agree with you about the issue about the sidewalk. It's really unfortunate how many cyclists there are on the sidewalk. There's no excuses. That's reckless. That is actually reckless driving.
We have one on Zoom, and then after that, we're going to close it off.
Giovanni, we got
Hi,
you on Zoom.
everyone. Gio Justiniano, CB4. I just want to say that, like, for me, it seems very clear the bias towards vehicles here, mostly maybe because a lot of you are encountering these crazy, quote unquote, crazy bicyclists or e-bikers like on the road when you're driving, and it's frustrating, as all drivers like to tell me. But I think the issue with these not the issue with the recommendations, but the purpose of the recommendations is to say that we're not going to sit here and say that being a bicyclist or an e-biker, you're doing something worse than a vehicle if the vehicle was to do the same thing. Instead, saying blanketly that by nature of the road being a conduit for bicyclists and automobiles and vehicles and whatever have you, that everyone should abide by the same regulations, the same rules of the road. So to be fair, it makes sense to say if we're not going to criminalize vehicles for doing the same traffic infractions, then we shouldn't be also criminalizing cyclists and e-bike riders. And if we are okay with doing that, then fine, then do it, make it blanket and do it across the board. But we don't understand, like, right at this point, like, by saying, well, e-bikers need to like, they need to listen. We're not thinking about the consequences of what that even means or what it allows, like, for the majority of the people who are cyclists and e-bikers, to Courtney's point, that, like, a significant amount of them are immigrants. A significant amount of them are food workers. A significant amount of them are working on behalf of companies who are not being held responsible, who are not establishing policies to make sure that the people they're putting on the road to deliver food when y'all don't want to cook are safe to be on the road. Understand what New York City
Thank you.
traffic regulations are. So I
Thank you.
think
My
that
parliamentary
this
is
shouldn't
beating
be
me up.
this 1 second. I'm not finished. This would not be such a divisive issue. I think that the committee did a really
Yes.
good job. And at the end of the day, we have to keep everybody
No,
safe.
yes, thank you. And everything, I allow everyone to speak because I know my parliamentary, everybody wanted to speak on this topic. The only reason why, it's got to go through committee and all these questions, yeah, all should go get on the board. Call the office 718-628-8400. And all of y'all would have went to committee. We wouldn't stand here for over an hour addressing your concerns and issue when we would have did it in committee and not here. All right? So the meetings are available. You can go online. The committee does meet. We need outside people too to get involved. Don't wait until it's too late and come here and then make something up or say something. Oh, I just want to acknowledge someone here. I don't know if all of y'all know her, but her son was killed on Flushing, and she got that area saved over there on Scott and Flushing. Y'all remember? That was her son that was killed. She came here to visit us. She brought us, me and Celeste, a card. I'm happy, blessings, and we're here. I know your husband is sick, and we're going to pray for him and make sure he's okay. All right? Give us your name and tell it.
I'm Joanne Pry, my son that was killed on August 20th, 2024 by a box truck riding his motorcycle to his office in Manhattan. His name was Philip Hausman. So we did, through these guys, I guess what I really want to say is we got that street changed. There is now a light at Flushing and Scott Avenue. Flushing, Scott Avenue is closed between Flushing and Johnson. Okay, and then you did all the stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry about the parking.
And the trees.
And the tree, well, those trees. Ugh. And the trees trimmed because the trees blocked the one stop sign that was there, and there should have been two and two warning signals, but there really should have been a light there. And they knew about it. DOT knew about it. Sorry if I'm offending anybody, but it just comes to that you've got to do something. And that's what I did for 10 months. These guys helped me. Jennifer helped me. So there was a lot. DOT helped too. So like, you know, I always want to say, if you see something, say something, do something. You know, don't wait till the last minute because there are people that will help.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kev.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Housing Land Use Committee and Guiney.
Hi, everybody. Ann Guiney, Housing and Land Use and Economic Development Committee. I will keep it relatively snappy, but just to pick up before I begin on what Mr. Camacho said, the real action is in the committees. You all should come to the committees. There's no snacks, but there's really good conversation. Everybody, we get into it. It can be a little wild, but it's amazing, and you should all show up. They're amazing. All right. Amazing. And now they're all like bullet pointed, bold, like you can skip to the good stuff. The notes are fabulous, and I tip my hat to the office for these amazing, amazing notes. So, all righty. So we met on Tuesday, November 25th, right before Thanksgiving. We had one big thing on the agenda, and that was to discuss the city's proposed citywide industrial plan. Industrial space is something we talk a lot about on the Economic Development and Housing and Land Use Committee because it's the perfect intersection of those two areas. And so the city wants to do a total citywide thing, not just for our neighborhood, but look at a comprehensive city plan that was passed by the city council, I believe in 2024. Apparently, the final one is going to be released tomorrow. We got a full presentation from Department of City Planning, and I will tell you right now, we had a lot of questions. We were not delighted with what we heard. We heard a lot. As many of you know, we have chunks at the edges of Bushwick, both sort of east and west along Flushing, and then also along the cemetery, and then bits here and there around Star and St. Nicholas. There's another chunk and around Evergreen and George Knoll. There's still a bunch. So those are big issues. They are very attractive to developers because they tend to have 1 and 2 story buildings. And, if you get it rezoned, you can build residential, make a heck of a lot more money. So citywide plan, they divided it into 3 categories, basically like super primary, like nobody can touch this. That's like the big mountains of salt you see in Mass, stuff like that. Like that's the crazy stuff. Huge 2 and 3 block wide factories. Secondary is still very important and they don't want any housing in it. And then quote unquote other, which is the vast majority of the stuff in Bushwick, would allow for uses like nightlife uses, like housing. They could go in, under certain conditions, and other non-industrial uses. And so this is really what we drilled down as deep as we could on. We were like, look, we care about manufacturing. We care about industrial uses. We want to, I thought we had all learned that lesson during the pandemic, that New York City, there is a resurgence of certain types of industry, and we don't have as much space, and we can't give away the store constantly. So basically, it was a super robust conversation, which you can read about in these fabulous notes that everybody has. And so we won't go super deep into detail, but really a lot of questions about why is Bushwick and the other side of Flushing Avenue, which is in CB1, it's more like quote unquote East Williamsburg, Maspeth, Ridgewood. Why are we all other? The whole North Brooklyn industrial zone, or at least that a lot of it, is not being treated as with as much care and respect as we would like it to see. And we've seen it eroded over the years, exactly where your son tragically lost his life. That is a whole area where there's still industrial stuff, but there's also a lot of nightclub uses and a lot of other stuff going on there right now. So it's, this needs attention. So that was our big conversation. City planning did not 100%, and no shade, but they did not quite have their slideshow act together. So it took a long time to get to this conversation. So we did not make a recommendation, but they did commit to taking all of our very serious concerns back and incorporate them in the plan. And we will see what that looks like tomorrow. Committee mail, again, that's where the first shots are fired in terms of what we're all going to be talking about. Always worth reading. There's a good digest and a link to that in the notes. But one thing of note also about industrial uses and potential rezonings is, many of you will know the Cathedral of Joy. It's the old Rheingold, brewery cafeteria. It's at Evergreen and George. That church it's been used as a church for decades now. They're talking about selling, I guess, smaller congregation, development pressures, XYZ. That is zoned for heavy M3. One is a sort of a more intensive industrial use. It is a church right now, so it's not being used that way. So anyway, that's something to pay attention to. And I think that is, that's the big stuff. I do want to keep it snappy, but are there questions, anybody, about this kind of stuff? Anybody? All right. Thank you very much. Oh, wait, there are questions. Yeah, sure. Can you get a microphone or pop up here?
Jason Gers, CB4 member. Do we specifically weigh in on the city industrial plan? What is our role in giving feedback? Thank you.
We did weigh in, and there's actually noted in these notes, you can actually see the questions that people raised and the problems that people had were quite specific and they said, we duly noted, and we will bring this back. And then what we have to do tomorrow, unfortunately, the legislation, there is an end of year deadline, which is the calendar year of 2025, and that's not very far away. But the new plan is being finalized tomorrow. We have not seen that yet, so we don't know how much they've incorporated, but it is something that we are watching carefully. Lacey.
Hi, I just want to kind of answer Jason's question a little more specifically. This is not a ULURP, so right now there is no formal role for the community board. However, there will be recommendations in the plan for zoning changes, and if and when those do happen, those will come before the board in an official capacity.
Thank you, Lacey, for that important clarification.
And that is it. Thank you, Ann.
Thanks, everybody, and happy holidays.
Chairperson's report, which is myself. Thursday, November 20, from 12 to 4. I want to thank Stash Master for handing out 125 turkeys on Broadway. On Saturday, November 23rd, at 11 to 1, 480 Knickerbocker, Willie gave out 600 turkeys right there on Knickerbocker. 600. The same day, Edwin Delgado, his restaurant on 97 Jefferson Street on the other side, between 1 and 3, handed out 130 turkeys. That same day, from 5 to 8 p.m., Dive Bar gave another 100. So Bushwick gave a lot of turkeys, guys. Do the numbers. I want to thank everybody that participated. Also, Monday, the 24th at 221 Central Avenue, Emeralds, Ray, thank you. Between 12 and 3 on Central, he gave 125 turkeys to our seniors and people. Thank you, guys. Bushwick can't say they didn't have enough turkeys. Talking about almost 1,000 and something turkeys we handed out. And I worked in every location, and they volunteered and gave out to all these people. I know our pastors got, some of the churches got, I know Riseboro got some. So I want to thank everyone that participated and helped out. On that same day at 6 o'clock, we had environmental protection and parks. On Tuesday, November 6th, 25th, CB4 economic and housing development. December 2nd, Tuesday, between 6 and 8, I was at the town hall with Julia Salazar. And thank you, Millie, for going to the board, borough board meeting. I know you're gonna do a little presentation to tell us about what's going on. December 3rd, Wednesday, CB4 Executive Board. Thank you, Kristen, for attending. Oh, you attended the borough boards. She attended another meeting. I don't know which meeting it was she attended, but thank you, guys. Thank you. It's good to have good partners. December 4th, Thursday, 6:30, another town hall with Congresswoman Neil Velasquez at 195 in regards to Wavecrest and Hope Gardens and some of the issues that have been going on. Thank you, Evelyn, from her office, for listening to our tenants in regards to the rent increases that they don't know about, in regards to the vouchers in Section 8 when they're not getting any because they're not making repairs, so they don't get the money from the vouchers from Section 8. They get the money from theirs, but they're still including their rent in there, so the numbers are high. We also have tenants in Bushwick that are paying close to $4,000 rent. And this is housing. Picture that, 4,000, 3,500 in the meeting. So we really need to find out. I know they gave a whole list. Thank you for our Assemblywoman, our Councilwoman. They were all there. Thank you for all you guys. Hopefully we're gonna get a cross-reference, and we wanna have them here and find out what's going on with them. So hopefully our House and Land Use Committee can bring them in here. Also, we need to find out what's going on with those boilers that we signed off, that the federal government gave money to take them out the basements because they were flooded in Hope Garden and putting in. The problem we're having now is that if you're in the first floor and you're calling 911 or 311, your phones don't work because it's blocking the satellite. The big building in the back is blocking it. So we're trying to fix that. A couple of buildings are not getting any phone or any emergency calls. They have to go outside if they got to make appointments or receive a call because the phone don't work. And the reason why I know that is because I went to a tenant's house and I did it and the phone just shut off. So it has to be, it never happened before, has to be because of the back. They put as much not hitting the satellite, and they're on the first floor, and this building that they put there is stopping from going. Also, December 6th, between 5 and 6, Irving Square Park, lighting of the tree. Thank you, Sandy Nurse. It was cold that day. Thank you, Fran. You did a good job. Where Fran at? Fran, thank you, Fran. You know it was cold that day, right? But thank you. That was Saturday. On December 8th, Monday at 5 o'clock, Myrtle Avenue, Knickerbocker Plaza lighting tree. From there, thank you, Sandy Nurse. From there, we walked to Maria Hernandez Park with Jennifer Gutierrez, and we played music. And the school, 1, 2, 3, was singing carols over there. From there, they walked through there on December 9th, on Tuesday, between 3 and 5. Puente had a Zoom meeting. On the 9th, that day at 2 o'clock, we had the Wyckoff Plaza Task Force. You know that plaza have a lot of problems on the Wyckoff Plaza because of people selling illegal food. People are getting sick for some of the foods that are out there. People are urinating and doing a lot. So there's a task force between the 104, the 83, sanitation, and the health department, and trying to clean up that plaza, which is a little crazy, but they're trying to work on it. December 10th, Wednesday, 4 p.m., the annual lighting of the tree on Wyckoff. I was in Wyckoff. Thank you for the young lady. Yes, she brought her kids to sing at the Wyckoff lighting tree. It was real nice, and they were singing, and we love them kids, and we got to support people like her that bring our youth and do arts for our kids. I know she's going to give a quick presentation at the end, and we're going to make sure that you're on there at December 11th, 10:30, CB4 District Service Cabinet. All city agencies are there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know they're going to have a new crew soon. 1 o'clock, 1420 Bushwick. We had a meeting with the people in the building. That building is horrendous, our building. Something needs to be done. I spoke to the property manager, the director. We're going to form a meeting. And we really need you there. We need to see what's going on with that, with the parking lot, and that building needs a lot of help. We really need to do affordable housing in there and fix that building up. We really need to make sure those people that are managing it, to make sure they do the right thing, and we really need to clean that place up. So hopefully, Antonio, I know a place where we can do affordable housing, and we can work with them, and we can get some. Also, we also want to make sure that I don't know how we could do it, but it's the Attorney General, because Cathedral of Joy is having hardship. That was the church, and they do outside stuff. We're not getting involved with development, but if another church can get it, or some other organization can help out, and we can make that place happen, and do programming, and do a big YMCA, or something in that area to fix up, something, we got to think out the box. We can't give away that big place. That building is big. It takes from George to Central. We got to do something. And I saw the records. I know for a fact that it was handed to the church. I don't know if they're going to sell it. I don't know if they could. We need to find out the legal. We're not getting into it now. I just want to bring you up. So let's really get into it and find out what's going on with Cathedral Joy, because we don't want to lose that place. So I don't know how the legal aspect in regards to a church when they transfer over. So we really need to work and find out. We're not getting into any real estate with them or handing anyone, but we really need to know how is it that a church that was there for a long time and was transferred over to another church and had no money and got it for free, are they charging? So we need to work on that. So, and we're going to sit down and work on that. December 12th, Friday, from 7 to 12, the 8-3 precinct fundraiser. I don't know how they did in regards to the toy giveaway. I know we were there. I don't know how much money they made for the kids in Bushwick, but they're going to have, it was in Latinos Unidos. And today, the full board. Any questions? Any concern? And we have a note for Celeste.
She says the board should.
No.
Sorry. The board should consider formalizing feedback for the draft industrial plan. It was skipped due to time. Without it, there is no guarantee that the discussion will be taken into consideration.
Yeah, just as a, and to follow up on that, it's coming out tomorrow. So I think that we've done and we gave as much robust feedback as we can. And but I wish we could do more, and we will push back on whatever they say tomorrow if it does not align with what we hope for.
Okay, I make a recommendation that we table the manager's report. James? All in favor? Any abstention? Motion passed. Recommendations. Recommendation. Well, I'm permits and license. Christine, Ben, there she go. She's coming.
Christine, do you want to do permits and licensing recommendations?
Yeah.
No, okay.
Okay. Before you start, Chuck, I'm going to make a recommendation in regards to the e-bikes and summises. I recommend that we do not give any feedback in that. We really need to address some of the concerns and issue, and I feel that I'm making a recommendation parliamentary. I'm making a motion. I'm making a motion to not create this mess in regards to decriminalizing, let the powers may be. It doesn't have, on the record, community support. It has board support and only 25 board members. So we really need, I made a motion. Anybody wants to second that motion? And I also want a roll call vote. Point of order.
Yeah, I guess the point of order is just, shouldn't we listen to what the committee's recommendation is before you make a counter proposal? Because traditionally they would put out the committee's recommendation. If you would like to make a motion to table it, that would traditionally follow. It's more of a point of order. Yeah.
We have our parliamentary here. She is absolutely right. But then we want a blanket vote on the motion. Thank you.
Wait, yeah.
Yes, you're gonna make the motion.
I'm gonna just I'll do the recommendations first.
Correct.
I'll start with the most controversial one, the 4'8" fence to 4 feet. That's one recommendation that we have. Do we want to vote on both? Well, let's vote on that recommendation and then we'll deal with the rest. We have a recommendation. Can I get a motion from the floor regarding our recommendation to the Department of Transportation? I just a point of clarification. We are making a recommendation to the DOT for 49 Wyckoff Avenue to receive revocable consent to do this construction. Thank you.
Second hand. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carried. Second.
Okay, second motion. The motion. Okay.
Recommendation.
Before I say the recommendation, I do want to say I have been inviting y'all to the committee meeting, and I please continue to the invite is not over now that this is going to be voted on. Please continue to receive this invitation to our committee meeting. I made it during announcements the last 2 months. The recommendation is we made a motion to. Oh, sorry, that's the other one. The motion is to reaffirm the committee's previous recommendation, which we had brought here during the last month. The recommendation is regarding the New York City Police Department's policy to issue criminal summons for bicycles and e-bikes. Our recommendation is that we oppose our recommendation is that the board should issue a statement that we oppose the issuance of criminal summonses to both bicycle and e-bike riders for traffic violations, and instead issue traffic summonses. Point 1. That the NYPD should provide data-driven justification for the need to issue criminal summonses. Treat bike 3, that was 2. 3, treat bike and e-bike riders violations at least as fairly as motorists by issuing the same degree of penalty equally. 4, hold delivery companies accountable for the behavior of their contractors. And 5, support investments in safer infrastructure for pedestrians, cyclists, and automobile drivers. Let me just sum that up really quick again. No criminal summons for bikes and e-bikes, and instead traffic summonses for bikes and e-bikes. NYPD should justify why they have changed their policy. Treat car, bike, and e-bike violations, treat e-bike and bike riders violations at least as fairly as motorists. Issue the same degree as penalty fairly. 4, hold delivery companies accountable. 5, support investments in safer infrastructure. And now we'll take the concerns about the blanket vote, the roll call vote, and anything else.
Yeah. We had discussion. Yeah, we did it.
Mr. Camacho, please give the mic to the parliamentarian.
Joanna Bennett, CB4. I'm making motion to accept all of the recommendations and the bullet points as stated in your
As a
recommendations.
motion.
Yes, I'm making a motion.
Okay, we have it.
Yeah, once you pass it, then we move on.
But I made a motion.
Yeah, but you- Okay. Got it. Got it.
The motion as it stands is just a regular vote.
Second.
Yeah.
He seconded? Yep. Now we're going, yeah, he seconded.
Now we're gonna do a
Roll call.
vote. Okay, so
He's-
then everyone's gonna say yay.
Do we need a motion for
Yes.
a roll call vote? Don't we need a motion for a roll call vote?
We just made the motion.
No, the motion was for a regular vote. For a regular vote.
Oh, okay, all right, yes. All in favor? Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carried. Now you need a motion for the roll call vote.
No, I thought it just passed. That was just passed. It just went. I have no.
The reason why we did a roll call vote was because we wanted to know who was voting on the favor, then how, that's what I just told him.
I think if you want a motion, I think you could motion for a roll call.
Yes, but you have to. That's right.
So the next, the PLC.
ELC.
Hi, everybody. So reminder, we had 4 liquor licenses and 2 cannabis licenses, as well as some old business recommendations. Does everyone want me to go over them again? Well, I would suggest the everything but the cannabis licenses was uncontroversial. So I think if I don't say so myself, you could follow the committee's recommendations on those, but I guess we'd need a motion.
There's no discussion. She put it in a motion.
Issa's
He made
making
a
a
motion.
motion.
Hello, Ita.
Issa Abney makes a motion to blanket support the SLA applications we discussed with the stipulations we discussed at the PLC meeting. Is that a motion? For the SLA applications only.
All in favor? Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carried. Oh, wait, somebody. Celeste.
Yep, I just I didn't hear anything for the last committee recommendation. I didn't hear who made the motion. I heard Joanna speak, but it was barely audible. And I didn't hear who seconded. I don't even know what the motion is. If someone can just clarify.
The motion was to blanket support the committee's recommendations or to make a blanket vote regarding all of the SLA
So
applicants.
thank you, Christine. I got Issa. I heard Issa. I didn't hear the
Okay.
second for PLC. I was talking about EPTS plus PRC. I couldn't hear, I don't know if it was just me on Zoom, but I couldn't hear anything. Can someone just reiterate for the record? Because I have to do the minutes and it wasn't audible.
It was Jolena Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
I made a motion to accept the recommendations made by the committee and all of the bullet points that they made. And it was seconded by Christian Celeste.
Thank you. And everyone was in favor.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Who seconded the PLC that Issa just made? The rec?
Ms. Bennett, it was you,
Okay.
right?
Thank you.
Yes, for the blanket vote. So now we need to vote on, is there a motion to? Your name? I think we first need to vote
No.
on we need to vote on the liquor licenses first. We just need to, we agreed to blanket vote. Now is there a motion to support the committee
anyone second?
recommendations?
Who's aye? All in favor? Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carried.
Okay. Next up, the
Yeah,
two
please-
cannabis licenses.
Please repeat their names because we can't hear when people are speaking without the mic.
Okay. I think it was Reverend Stewart
James Stewart.
made the motion, Celeste, to support.
Mm-hmm.
the
Stewart
committee's
makes a motion to approve to support the recommendation of the committee for the SLA licenses. Issa Abney seconds.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the two cannabis licenses. Courtney Henley, CB4.
Issa Abney seconds the motion.
I
I would just like to.
I want to make a motion that we separate them.
Okay.
And then put it in a roll call vote. There's a motion on the floor, but what's the motion on the floor? Nobody seconded. He hasn't done it yet. He did. Wait, you got it. Second.
I second Courtney's motion to approve the cannabis application with stipulations by the PLC committee. Issa Abney, CB4.
All in favor?
Yeah, so
That was just for the blanket vote. Yes, you gotta be careful with the wording. Now you gotta make a motion. I make a motion to approve. I did, they said. All in favor? Any abstention, any opposed, motion carried.
What was the motion?
Joanna Bennett opposed. One opposed for blanket.
The motion was to approve both cannabis applications. Courtney made the motion. Issa, I seconded.
Okay, thank you.
A blanket vote on the OCM applications. Courtney made the motion. Issa, myself, second the motion. We
correct.
Joanna opposed, but everyone.
Selena opposed.
But everyone else.
Two opposed, a blanket vote.
Two oppositions. Seems like everyone else.
Opposes. Both Joanna Bennett and Stephanie Anderson opposed the blanket vote.
Motion carries. All in favor? Any opposed, any abstention? That was it, right.
Right.
You need to vote.
Zachary Hendrickson's motion to approve both recommendations. I second. Issa second.
Hi, Celeste. Zachary Hendrickson, CB4 board member, motions to approve both of the cannabis licenses that we just voted on to blanket vote on. So I am moving that we approve both of those.
With stipulations.
With the stipulations that the committee has recommended per regulations and public safety commitments. Courtney Henley seconds.
All in favor? Any abstain, opposed? Motion carried. We have. She did, that's what she did it. That was the liquor license. She did both. She did both. We did both. All right, both. Now we need one more recommendation. Yes.
All right, so now we're gonna do the recommendations for the executive meeting. The recommendation.
Hello, listen up.
The recommendation for the executive meetings to increase Adelina's hours from 25 hours to 28 hours per week. The motion was made by James Stewart and it was seconded by Ben Tucker. All in favor, motion carried. So it was already done. Okay, the second. Okay.
It has to go through the board.
Okay, so we're gonna vote on that now? Okay, so we need a new motion. That was the recommendation set forth by the committee. Now it has to come up to the board.
Correct, and approve 2,500 in specs for sound training.
So Christian Celeste Tate, I make a motion to accept the committee's recommendation to increase Adelina's hours.
Anyone second?
Ms. Anderson, staff seconds.
Stephanie Anderson, I second that motion.
All in favor? Any abstain? Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, the second recommendation is to approve 2,500 board expense for strata training with the stipulation that a minimum of 25 participants is required. The motion was made by Annette Spelling and it was seconded by Stephanie Anderson. All were in favor and the motion was carried and now it's coming up again. We need a motion.
And just that's for housing and land use and economic development so that we can learn more about how affordable housing is financed. That's all it is.
Anyone?
Recommendation, Joanna Bennett moves to accept the recommendations.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? Courtney second that, Celeste. Oh, there's something.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And old business. Going once, going twice. New business. Going once, going twice. Announcements. 1.5, I think everybody made earlier. Second roll call.
Roll call. In reverse order. Linda Whitfield. Jerry Valentine,
Present. Have a good night, everybody.
Ben Tucker, Savannah Tyus, Christian Tate, James Stewart, B. Spiderman, Annette Spelling, Juan Serra, Milagro Sandoval, Josué Salazar, Eliseo Ruiz, Raúl Rubio, Pablo Rivera, Sheree Richardson, Cirilo Nunez, Zulma Novoa.
Present. Good night, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Ramika Nichols,
Just to say, this is Raul Rubio, present.
Alex Moreno, Freddie Madison, Christy Malden, Cindy LeBron, Nancy Keefe, Giovanni Justiniano,
Present.
Luisa Jose, Tara Jones Thomas, Virgie Jones.
Present. Happy holidays to all. Good night.
Thank you. Barbara Jackson, Tanisha Honeygan,
Present. Good night.
Tanisha
Happy
Honeygan.
holidays. Present. Good night. Happy holidays.
Deborah Hicks, Courtney Henley, Zachary Henderson, Elaine Hamilton, Ann Guiney, Christopher Graham, Jason Gers, Alan Gamboa, Joanna Fuentes Singh, Freddie Fowler, Elvina Davis, Andrew Choi, Felix Ceballos, Telvin Campbell, Robert Camacho,
Present.
Joanna Bennett, Tiani Belliard, Stephanie Anderson, Isa Abney. Thank you.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? It is 8:35.
James Stewart motions to adjourn. To Let's Get Well. Please come back very
Second. Ben Tucker, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any motion passed? Thank you. Happy holiday.